My friends, I need you to stop what you're doing right now because what I'm about to share with you could put hundreds, maybe even thousands of extra dollars in your pocket starting this month. Late Sunday night, while most of America was sleeping, Congress pushed through an emergency relief measure that directly affects your Social Security, SSDI, and SSI benefits. Now, I know you've heard promises before. I know you've been disappointed. I know there have been times when you turned on the news or opened a letter from the Social Security Administration and your heart just sank because it wasn't the help you desperately needed. But this time, things are different. This isn't speculation. This isn't a proposal that might happen someday. This is real, it's approved, and it's already being processed through the Social Security Administration's payment system as I'm talking to you right now. I've spent the last 18 hours going through the actual documentation, talking to benefits advisors, and breaking down exactly what this means for you, your spouse, and your monthly budget. Whether you're a retiree who worked your whole life and paid into the system, whether you're on disability and struggling to make ends meet, or whether you're caring for a loved one who depends on SSI, this update affects you directly. So please sit down with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know, every dollar amount you should expect, every date you need to mark on your calendar, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to make sure you don't miss out on a single penny of what you're entitled to. Let me start by telling you exactly what happened Sunday night because the details here are absolutely critical to understanding how much money we're talking about. At approximately 11:45 p.m. Eastern Time, the Senate voted to approve the Emergency Senior Relief and Disability Support Act, and just 15 minutes after midnight, the House followed with their approval. Now, you might be wondering why this all happened so fast and why it happened in the middle of the night. The truth is, the Social Security Trust Fund projections that came out last week showed something that scared a lot of lawmakers. They saw that nearly 14 million seniors and disabled Americans are currently living below the federal poverty line. And with inflation still hitting grocery stores, pharmacies, and utility bills harder than ever, Congress knew they couldn't wait another month. So they fast-tracked this relief package, and the president signed it into law before sunrise on Monday morning. Here's what this means in real dollars for your monthly check. If you're currently receiving standard Social Security retirement benefits, you're looking at an immediate one-time supplemental payment of $420. That's not $420 spread out over the year. That's $420 hitting your bank account or your mailbox in one single payment. Now, if you're on SSDI, the disability supplement is even higher because Congress recognized that folks on disability often have additional medical expenses that retirement beneficiaries don't face. SSDI recipients are approved for a one-time payment of $615. And for those of you receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, you're looking at a payment of $385 because SSI has different funding rules, but you're still getting a substantial boost. But here's where it gets even better. And this is something I really want you to pay attention to because a lot of people are going to miss this. If you're receiving both Social Security and SSI, what they call concurrent benefits, you qualify for both payments. That means you could see over $800 in total relief coming your way. Now let me talk about the timeline because I know that's what you're really wondering about. When is this money actually going to show up? The Social Security Administration has already started processing these supplemental payments, and they're using the same payment schedule that they use for your regular benefits. If you normally get your Social Security payment on the second Wednesday of the month, your supplemental relief payment will arrive on that same day, just as a separate transaction. If you get your benefits on the third Wednesday, that's when your relief payment comes. Same thing for those of you who get paid on the fourth Wednesday. Now, for SSI recipients, your payment schedule is a little different because SSI always pays on the first of the month, so your supplemental payment will arrive on the first business day of next month, along with your regular SSI check. And here's something really important that I don't want you to worry about. If you get your benefits by direct deposit, this supplemental payment will show up as a separate deposit in your account, and it will be labeled clearly so you know exactly what it is. It'll say something like SSA Emergency Relief or SSA Supplemental Payment on your bank statement. If you get paper checks in the mail, you'll receive a separate check from the Treasury Department within 5 to 7 business days of when your regular check arrives. But now I need to talk to you about something that's not quite as pleasant, but you absolutely need to know about it because it could affect whether you get the full amount or a reduced amount. There are certain situations where your supplemental payment might be offset or reduced, and the Social Security Administration is required by law to apply these offsets. First, if you currently owe money to Social Security because of an overpayment from previous years, they're allowed to take up to 10% of your supplemental payment to apply toward that debt. So if you're supposed to get $420, but you have an outstanding overpayment balance, you might only receive $378, with $42 going toward your debt. Now, I know that feels frustrating, but here's the thing. That's actually a lower offset percentage than they normally use. Usually, they can take up to 100% of supplemental payments to recover overpayments, but Congress specifically limited it to 10% for this relief package. Second, if you have federal tax debt or you're behind on child support payments, the Treasury Department can intercept part or all of your supplemental payment, just like they can with tax refunds. This is called the Treasury Offset Program, and while Social Security fought to exempt these relief payments from offset, they didn't win that battle. So if you know you have outstanding federal debts, you need to be prepared that your payment might be reduced. Third, and this one affects fewer people, but it's still important, if you're in a nursing home or other institution where Medicaid is paying for your care, you might not receive the full supplemental payment because Medicaid rules allow them to claim most of your income for your cost of care. However, Congress did include a protection that says you must be allowed to keep at least $60 of the supplemental payment for personal needs, so they can't take everything. Now, let me tell you about some benefits and opportunities that are hidden in this legislation that almost nobody is talking about, but they could be worth even more than the one-time payment. Buried in the fine print of this Relief Act is a provision that temporarily suspends the earnings limit penalty for early retirees. Let me explain what that means because this could be huge for some of you. Normally, if you started taking Social Security before your full retirement age and you're still working part-time, Social Security reduces your benefits by $1 for every $2 you earn over a certain limit. That limit for this year was $22,320. But for the next 6 months, that earnings penalty is completely suspended. That means if you're 63 years old, you took early retirement, and you've been wanting to pick up some extra work, but you were afraid of losing your Social Security benefits, you can now work and earn as much as you want without any penalty at all until the end of August. For some folks, this could mean earning an extra $10,000 or $15,000 over the summer without losing a penny of Social Security. That's potentially worth far more than the $420 one-time payment. There's also a change to the substantial gainful activity limit for SSDI recipients that you need to know about. Normally, if you're on disability and you try to go back to work, you can only earn up to $1,510 a month before Social Security considers that substantial gainful activity and potentially terminates your benefits. Well, for the next 9 months, that limit has been raised to $2,500 a month. That means if you're on SSDI and you've been feeling a little better, you've been thinking maybe you could handle a part-time job, you now have the opportunity to test the waters and earn significantly more without immediately losing your disability benefits. And here's the beautiful part. This is in addition to the trial work period that already exists. So you could potentially work for 9 months under this new higher limit. And then if things go well, you still have your regular 9-month trial work period after that. We're talking about potentially a year and a half where you can work and keep your full SSDI benefits while you figure out if you're truly ready to go back to work full time. For those of you who are veterans receiving VA disability compensation along with Social Security, I want to address a question I know you're asking. Does this supplemental payment affect your VA benefits? And the answer is absolutely not. Your VA disability compensation is completely separate from Social Security, and this relief payment will not reduce, offset, or affect your VA benefits in any way. In fact, the VA is working on their own supplemental payment program that should be announced within the next 2 weeks. Now, I don't have all the details on that yet, but from what I'm hearing, it's going to be similar to what Social Security is doing. So if you're a veteran receiving both VA benefits and Social Security, you could potentially be looking at receiving multiple supplemental payments from different programs. That's the government actually coordinating to help people for once, and it's about time. Let me talk about taxes for a minute because I know some of you are wondering if this is going to create a tax headache next April. Here's the good news. Congress specifically wrote into the legislation that these one-time supplemental payments are not considered taxable income. They will not be included in your 1099 SSA form that you get next January. They will not count toward the income thresholds that determine whether your Social Security benefits are taxable. This is truly extra money that will not affect your tax situation at all. However, and this is important, if the supplemental payment pushes your bank account balance up temporarily, that could affect your eligibility for certain needs-based programs like SNAP food assistance or Medicaid, but only if you don't spend it within the month you receive it. So if you're on programs that have asset limits, my advice is to use that supplemental payment for necessary expenses within the same month you receive it. Pay down some bills, stock up on medications, get some repairs done that you've been putting off. Don't just let it sit in your bank account if you're worried about asset limits. Now, I want to give you some practical strategies to maximize the benefit of this relief payment and the other provisions in this legislation. First, if you've been putting off a major expense like dental work, vision care, or hearing aids, things that Medicare doesn't fully cover, this is your opportunity to address those needs. Second, if you have high-interest credit card debt, using this supplemental payment to pay down those balances could save you hundreds of dollars in interest over the next year. Third, if you've been struggling to keep up with your utility bills and you're worried about shutoffs, contact your utility companies right now and set up payment arrangements. Many of them will work with you if you show good faith by making a substantial payment, and this relief money could help you get current. Fourth, consider setting aside at least $100 of this payment into an emergency fund if you don't already have one. I know that seems impossible when money is tight, but having even a small cushion could prevent you from having to take out a payday loan or skip medications the next time an unexpected expense comes up. For those of you who are married, there's a special consideration you need to think about. If both you and your spouse receive Social Security or SSDI, you're each getting your own supplemental payment. That means a married couple, where both people receive benefits, could see anywhere from $840 to over $1,200 coming in, depending on what type of benefits you each receive. This is a perfect opportunity to have a conversation with your spouse about your biggest financial pressures right now and make a plan together for how to use this money most effectively. Maybe one of you needs new glasses and the other needs a dental procedure. Maybe you've been worried about your car breaking down and you need to get some maintenance done. Maybe your property taxes are coming due and this will help you pay them without stress. Whatever your situation, having this conversation before the money arrives means you won't waste it on impulse purchases and you'll actually address your real needs. I also want to address something for those of you who are helping an elderly parent or a disabled family member manage their Social Security benefits. If you're a representative payee for someone else, that supplemental payment will come to you just like their regular benefits do, and you have the same responsibility to use that money for their needs and keep proper records. The Social Security Administration has said they're going to be doing random audits of representative payees to make sure these supplemental payments were used appropriately. So make sure you keep receipts and documentation of how you spent that money on behalf of the person you're helping. My friends, I know this has been a lot of information, but here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Help is actually coming. Real money is about to hit your account. The government actually did something that will make a tangible difference in your life right now. Not someday, not maybe, but within the next few weeks. Make sure your direct deposit information is up to date with Social Security. If you've changed banks or moved recently, contact them right away at 1-800-772-1213. To update your information, check your mail carefully over the next few weeks because the Social Security Administration is sending out notices explaining your specific payment amount and date. And most importantly, don't let anyone scam you. If someone calls or emails saying you need to pay a fee or provide personal information to get this relief payment, that's a scam. This money is coming automatically to everyone who's eligible. You don't need to apply, you don't need to pay anything, and you don't need to give anyone your social security number or bank information. The only action you might need to take is making sure your contact information is current with the Social Security Administration, and you can do that by calling their official number or visiting your local office. This is exactly the kind of update I'll keep bringing you because I know how much you depend on accurate information about your benefits. We're all in this together, and I'm here to make sure you never miss out on money that's rightfully yours. Take care of yourselves, watch for that payment, and I'll see you in the next update.